So good evening, everybody. Brandon Norris here. The event I chose was the high school webmaster TSA event. So a little bit about the event. This year, the event was catered toward telecommunications in the medical industry. So my students will be creating a website using Adobe. For purposes of the demonstration, I just use Google Sites. It actually goes against the criteria for the event, but I don't have a server to connect to, so I can't really create a site and then upload it to the internet until I'm actually teaching the course. My graphic arts department will have an Adobe Academy, and they will be able to work with Adobe Dreamweaver. So part of the event is that you have to create a working website, and you will have to present it to the judges. So I chose to create a company called MedCom. This is going to be the fictional company that they requested. And MedCom is basically medical telecommunications. When I do have a club, my students will have their own page that we create through Adobe. But like I said, since I don't have my own servers or access to one right now, I'll just use the Google Sites. There would be a page that says, High Brighton High School TSA. It would have our chapter and all that on it. But again, I can't do that right now. And we're just going to go with Google Sites just so I can present. Okay, so we're going to start with our homepage. And I'm just going to go through this. Basically, I'm going to have the students get together and collaborate. We're going to come up with a layout, a company logo, a motto, some things about the company. Basically, find ways to set us apart from other telecommunication services. As you can see here is my simple design. It's just MedCom. I used a phone and speaker logo for the word com. I'm hoping you guys can kind of see that. And I used a background with like a faded digital keyboard, sort of just to tie it in. So my homepage, it's got the fictitious person, me, just to start out the page. The second page, what you guys will see is actually a functioning website through Google Sites. Is going to have a company mission statement. This is going to tell the customer or the patients, in this case, kind of what we stand for and what our goal is. Maybe we'll have a vision statement later on, but right now we're just going to go with the mission statement. You can see that's a pretty simple page. The next thing my students thought would be important is to list our staff. So we want to ensure that patients know that we are a reliable company. So I've made a couple fictional doctors, and then I use my wife as the nurse. She actually liked what I had put together. I was going to have her throw some input, but she didn't want me to change anything. So, and this, there will actually be real images. I just went to the Creative Commons and pulled off some generic clip art. Then we started brainstorming and thinking about what kind of services would MedCom provide and what would set them apart from any other generic televisit company. Because a lot of people are doing this right now with COVID. So who's to say you wouldn't go to your regular doctor? Well, after a little bit of collaboration, we realized that there are many things you can do. Patients can get their appointments scheduled, and attend an appointment. They can get their physicals and health screens. They have, to a certain degree, the ability to have a diagnosis. They have their treatment options. They can get their medications. If MedCom cannot assist them, there is a referral program where the doctor refers them to other specialists. In particular situations, they may be able to get health supplies. This may be your insulin, your CPAP supplies, the basics that can be held at this home campus. They can be delivered or mailed out. Personal delivery would probably be the best, but with COVID going on, it may be best to mail for now. I know it's a little impersonal, but if they have a protocol to follow, I just threw in some images. That way it carried your eyes to the bottom of the page with a cute surprise. Welcome to the family. Okay, so we wanted to give a little bit of history and provenance to the company. So with a little bit more fiction, I wanted to say, it started small. It worked well and expanded. I think that would be a good thing for the students to consider as how you go from beginning to where you're at now. And starting as a small office in a rural county, getting your name out and expanding, I think that'll teach the kids about work and ethic that need to be put into creating something. So right here we have this final paragraph. Our reasons were to save the patients time and money, create more efficient medical systems, create reliable communications for those who would rather see a doctor from the safety and comfort of their home, reach as much of the community as possible, improve the quality of televisits, and most importantly, give the best care possible. So for an event, I want my students to be well prepared for that interview process. So I wanted this website to show that we are focused on the patients. Our website and our ideas set us apart from every other healthcare facility in the area. And the thoroughness of this, I think, will set my team apart, and they'll be well prepared for that interview at the end, because when they get to the semifinals, that's what they're going to be judged on: how their website looks and then how they interview. So let's look at about. So I provided some more information so people could contact them or schedule appointments. And if they needed something, a thing I added to it that I think my kids would also do to set us apart from the other ones, we not only have an email address, there are going to be social links and accounts and a QR code that will direct you to an app that they can use to self-assess before they go to the doctor. I think the kids are tech savvy, and this is something that they will be able to do when we go to Dreamweaver. I am not sure how QR codes work, but I will guarantee you I will learn before I start teaching this class. And I think just the fact that we're using a little bit of technical literacy will set us apart and get us in there for that semifinal interview. So right here, I'm just a little bit of criteria. I put a note at the bottom. Some of these pictures I pulled straight from the internet. I don't own them. And this was used creating Google Sites, even though we're not supposed to. When it comes to the conference, again, I will use Adobe Dreamweaver right here instead of the Google Sites. The only original artwork, I do believe, this MedCom logo is original artwork that a student will make. This is not theirs. This is mine again. We may use some photos that we have access to, or ones that are free. If we have somebody in the school that would be willing to put their name and face to it. This is me. My wife had given me permission for her. Let's just go over everything one more time. Right here is where I was speaking of maybe I can we'll be working with the yearbook anyway, so maybe I can get some teachers to volunteer and we can code this in to where they are the fictional doctors and caretakers. Possibly add some links here if we have time. The students pretty much just need to have this done during the school year before the event. So this is not something that is, you work on for a couple hours like some of my previous ones. The students will have plenty of time. This will be something they'll be working on after school, maybe once or twice a week up until the point of the event. They just have to have it turned in 24 hours prior to the event, and all the links have to be working. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. It has to be up 24 hours a day. Hopefully our school servers will be up and running when we get there. So the students will learn how to code. Once they learn how to code, we will be creating web pages. Now, one more thing I will say, I did not include our chapter, our TSA name. We didn't have a motto, any of this other stuff. I just did the competition in this. I didn't add anything to it. But when I have my students, we will have our own page. We will have pages. It'll be more of a site. Then that will be linked to something like this that we enter into. Then it all goes down to the judging. Hopefully we look professional enough, our designs are good, our site functions as it's supposed to before we get there, it's up and running, no errors, and it gets us into the semifinals. If we make it to the semifinals, I will be more than happy. I'm hoping my students can contribute other things. Like I said, I put some social media links. They're not links, but if I make a site, I'll be sure to embed these so that you click on them and it goes to MedCom's information, and the QR code will scan. This is a dead one, so if you hold your phone up to it, nothing's going to happen. I just use the QR generator, sort of like the ones that are in other Adobe products. And I can actually go back here. I'll read the theme to you just so you can see if I covered everything. The theme is medical on demand. Due to recent global events, consumers and healthcare industries were forced to change their medical screening practices. Virtual appointments via mobile interfacing and webcam communications have been used for patients that were unable or restricted from physically seeing the doctor. And if you guys have been to the doctor lately, you know that's pretty much what you're doing. I've had to do it. My wife has had to do it. We got COVID and could not leave when we needed to get stuff. It's a part of life. So the challenge for this event, we're going to create a fictional medical communications company and design their website. So that's what you saw. And how did I come up with this? Well, I looked at it, medical telecommunications. What would be shorthand for that if you were writing something down or you needed to keep it in your memory? MedCom. New company out of thin air right there. The website should serve for information. We have information about our company. It showed the services we provided. We gave an overview, letting the consumer know what we can do for them, the solutions, the services we have. I threw in some descriptions and photos. We had a design. I made sure there was contact. We did not do news updates, but if we go back to it, let's make sure I find the right one. We do have an activated banner that shows up on every page that says accepting new patients. Now it looks like even I may have made an error. That's supposed to be a link that sends you to the services. So see, even I'm having trouble with this as well. Then let's see if I can move this down. This is the actual guide from 2017. So you can see they get the whole school year. My team will be 3 to 5. We'll collaborate. We'll assign roles just like we have in the last two that I've talked about. We'll do all the same steps, except for this time we're going to move it into the digital realm, and it's going to be a web page. Right here it says the internet must be up and running nonstop. First thing we need to do is have my school create this website and pages for our chapter. Then we will present what we've made. As you can see right here, templates are not to be used. I didn't do it right, but I'm using what I've got. We use Google Sites, pretty basic. My students should be able to create one after they have taken my course. It was a semester-long course, so this would be more of an enrichment that they do in the end. And that would be one of the problems to address, and something that I have learned is that students will have a lot to cover if they want to create something like this, because they're going to be taking a class that's probably going to have this and maybe Photoshop and possibly another program that's lumped into the same semester. I'm hoping I can just do this and Photoshop for the entire semester, and the kids can really get familiarized with it. And I had learned that it's pretty difficult finding this criteria if you are not already in TSA. I had to search and search and search to find information that I thought would help me to present this. So as far as the site goes, it was just me using my know-how and research. But to address everything that the TSA wanted, it would probably be good if I get a TSA handbook as soon as I start teaching. I need to get my kids signed up. I'm going to have to research it, and I'm going to have to make sure the kids are prepared. I will teach both soft skills and the technical skills that will allow them to compete and go places in these events. It's not just going to focus on, hey, how do you build a website? The kids are going to know how to look. They're going to know how to speak, present themselves. I'm going to make sure all the bases are covered. And that's something that I have learned throughout this process is it's not about what you're creating, but how you present it. If a student were working on this, I would suggest that they spend time reviewing each page from both a desktop and possibly a mobile phone or tablet. Make sure all links work. When you hit your back button, you want the page to navigate properly. That's probably the most important, I would say, if you're creating a website. I mean, the layout, design, the graphics, everything is important, but you want a functioning website that's been proofread and is easy to navigate. I've done this in another course where I created a website, and I'll tell you, it wasn't great. So I would like my students to be able to successfully navigate. Let's see what we've got here. We got a little information panel. No, we don't want to report. Okay. So if you guys have any questions, or if you ever want to make some comments about how to improve a website, or if you have experience with it, feel free to email me. This is definitely something I'm going to be doing in my classes. I don't know if it'll be MedCom, We may do something else for online advertising or something for those businesses that have had to go remote. I've thought about that. I did it this summer. I actually started creating Wix pages for people who could not afford to get their own website up and get a domain. And I also made Facebook um, marketplace pages, I guess is what you call them, Facebook business pages. I done that for a few people and it actually worked somewhat. So this can work in our new world, and that can be applied to what we're dealing with right now. And if you want to make a meaningful classroom, then you apply it to the students' lives. And I think this is a great way to do it. Like I said, if you got any questions, just feel free to email me, comment, call me, whatever you need to. Thanks, guys.